Before purchasing a vehicle, there are things you need to do. And that's what I'll be telling you in this video. Because I know so many of you have purchased vehicles that 2 to 3 days after, or even like 2 to 3 weeks after, you no longer like the vehicle. But I'm making this video because of you. Because I want to tell you things that you actually need to do or need to check before actually purchasing a vehicle. The first thing I'll be telling you is actually the mileage. When I talk about the mileage, I simply talk about how far or how much the engine of the vehicle has been used. The mileage of the vehicle is actually represented in values. Some vehicles have as less as 20,000, 20,000 in value of mileage. Some have less as much as 10,000, and some even have zero vehicles that have never been used. But others have mileage which are very high, such as 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. Some even go high up to 600,000. The mileage of a vehicle, which is about 600,000, is a mileage that is so high. This simply means the engine of this vehicle has been overused. That's why it's actually very important to actually check the mileage of the vehicle before purchasing it. The mileage of the vehicle directly correlates to how used the engine has been. So if you're planning to purchase a vehicle, whether it's a Santa Fe, whether it's a Yaris, especially if you're planning to purchase the vehicle, which is for your daily activities, or a vehicle, even if you want to use it for your private services, checking the mileage is something that is very important, and never neglect it whenever you want to purchase a vehicle. The next thing is actually checking the papers this vehicle has. So many different ways are there in which you can use to purchase a vehicle. If you are purchasing a vehicle, let's say, which is directly, imported from Europe, or a vehicle, which has already been second-handed use in Cameroon, these are two different scenarios. But the two different scenarios actually has different documents and different documents that you have to check. Let's say you are purchasing a vehicle maybe that has been directly imported from Europe. Purchasing this kind of vehicle, in most of the cases, they just have the custom documents. The custom document is the document that actually, tells and certifies that this vehicle has actually been clearly imported, clearly cleared out from the port. But let's take into consideration that you are purchasing a vehicle that has already been used. A vehicle that has already run maybe in your country, by a first individual. In this case, documents such as the immatriculation documents, the custom documents too, and documents also such as, the taxation documents and even insurance. These are documents that are always necessary for the vehicle if you are planning to buy a second-handed vehicle. Whenever you come to a dealership, and you plan to, let's say, purchase a vehicle, and you don't actually check the documents, because the documents actually is one of the most important and one of the most reasons and the most certifications that the vehicle you are buying is legit and is not, let's say, a stolen vehicle. Let me tell you a story, and this story actually dates to, let's say, like 2 months. And what happened is that I have someone who actually bought a vehicle, and he didn't actually take time to actually check these documents very well. But to my surprising, to the surprise was that this vehicle was actually a vehicle that did not, was not owned by the person selling the vehicle to him. So he actually discovered himself that he bought a vehicle that was actually stolen, just because he didn't take time, to check the different documents the vehicle has. The documents such as, the immatriculation documents are very important documents to check if you are planning to, let's say, purchase a vehicle that has already been used. The immatriculation documents actually contains the name, and the number, the identification number of the vehicle, of the individual that is actually, the previous individual of the vehicle. So this is one of the most important and most important, documents that you need to check before actually purchasing the vehicle. The next thing you actually check, and you have to be aware of before actually purchasing that vehicle, is the condition, the condition of the engine. And this point actually correlates, to the first point, which was the mileage condition. But the condition of the engine also has to be checked. You can have an engine which does not have a very high mileage, but is not actually very good. In some cases, depending on the type of engine, whether it's a DV engine, whether it's a V8, and all different types of engine, checking the state of the engine, you can check the state by actually, starting the vehicle and checking for knock sound. If the vehicle starts, with sounds that are not very familiar, these are only signs that that engine has a problem. So you need to actually be checking, the state of this engine the sound. You also need to check like the exhaust whenever the vehicle is started. The smoke from the exhaust actually will tell you the state at which that engine is. The next thing you need to actually do before you actually come in to purchase that vehicle, and I see so many people actually do without even actually do before they purchase a vehicle, is actually coming to purchase a vehicle and not having a test drive. A test drive is actually one very important thing to actually do before actually purchasing a vehicle. The test drive is actually just simply as testing the vehicle, testing if everything that has been told you in the vehicle actually corresponds to what is on place. Having a test drive is actually very important to actually do before purchasing a vehicle. Let's say you are trying to purchase, let's say, a Santa Fe, 2015 model, or any different kind of vehicle. You need to actually test it in areas where you'll be usually going to. Areas such as areas that are not very, areas with roads that are not very good. You need to actually check the vehicle of this area. You have to test the vehicles on this area before actually purchasing it. Because what if you purchase the vehicle and just a step out of the dealership, you actually have a breakdown? That will not be of great concern again to the person who sold you the vehicle. So you need to actually check that vehicle, check that vehicle before actually, purchasing it. The next thing that you need to actually do before actually purchasing a vehicle, and this is actually something that is practical. Before coming to purchase the vehicle, always consider coming with a mechanic. A mechanic is actually somebody that, in whatever the case, will be always well versed about the situation in hand than you. So when you're planning to buy a vehicle, any type of vehicle, whether it's your first, second, third, and fourth time, always consider, coming with a mechanic. A mechanic will help you diagnose problems that you cannot see at first instance. Problems such as, the engine condition, whether, the tires are good, whether even the different, compartments of the vehicle. Coming with a mechanic is always a wise thing and a wise thing to do before actually purchasing a vehicle. So if you are planning to purchase a vehicle, don't forget this point. Come with a mechanic, someone which is actually well versed about the situation in hand, because mechanics are actually people that have day-to-day activities with vehicles, so there are things that they will mostly know that you don't. In this video I wanted to show you the different things you have to do before actually purchasing a vehicle. And right now I will not finish this video without actually presenting you this Santa Fe. This Santa Fe 2015 model just entered a dealership just 3 weeks ago. This is a Santa Fe 2015 model, and now I can show you of its state. You see, it has an automatic transmission with a powerful engine. The interior is actually wonderful. You will be seeing it, on your screen right now. So if you're planning to purchase this Santa Fe, it's just located in Boya, the southwest region of Cameroon, at the Mr. King's dealership. You can contact us with the number in the description, or you can just get it at 676-30-1621. 676-30-1621, and everything will actually be given to you in all transparency. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe and turn on the notification bell not to miss any of our feature content. Click here to watch our next video. Big ups.